Hello and welcome to this video on ethics and social research. After this lecture, students will be able to understand the ethical responsibilities of researchers to obtain informed consent, protect confidentiality, and protect participants from harm. We will also go over researchers' responsibilities to colleagues, community, and public, and learn about the American Sociological Association's ethical guidelines, as well as IRBs or institutional review boards. You may be asking yourself why we have something called research ethics. A large part of this is because what is legal and what is ethical are two different things. What is legal is not necessarily ethical and vice versa, and we need to be held as researchers to a higher standard of ethics than what is just legal. And we have research ethics because in the past we've had some examples of people who've conducted unethical research. We have the Stanford Prison Experiment, the Milgram Experiment, the Tea Room Trade, and the Tuskegee Syphilis experiments that all violated some aspect of our ethics, and hence we now have these rules around ethical research. Today we have what are called institutional review boards at every college or university or research center that is responsible for evaluating the ethics of proposed research, and a big part of this is to protect the university or the college or the research center from liability, but it also is looking at making sure that our research is conducted in an ethical manner. The Institutional Review Board weighs the risks of the study to the people who are participating against the benefits to society from that research. In general, the Institutional Review Board checks for risks to subjects as minimized, the risks to subjects are reasonable in relationship to the benefits, that the selection of subjects is equitable, informed consent must be sought and documented properly, and the Institutional Review Board checks for that. It also checks that the data is adequately collected and monitored, protecting privacy, anonymity, etc. The IRB will make exceptions for lower risk research, such as research that has a really low risks to the participants, but will be more careful and look closer at research that is dealing with people who might have some sort of marginalized status, such as children, people with mental illnesses, the elderly, etc. The ASA, or American Sociological Association, also has a code of ethics that all sociologists are supposed to abide by. This includes professional competence, making sure you are who you say you are, that you have competence in the field that you're teaching, courses that you have knowledge in, that you have integrity, that you're honest, that you're treating people right. You also have a professional and scientific responsibility to conduct yourself appropriately, that you have respect for people's rights, dignity, and diversity, right? Don't be an asshole. And you have social responsibility that the work you're doing should be for the greater good and the good of society. So there are two main areas of research ethics. There's ethics around participants, research on human subjects, etc. And then there's the ethics we have around our colleagues, the community, and general public, and how we conduct that research. Let's start with looking at the treatment of human subjects. The principles for the treatment of human subjects are as follows. We must get informed consent. We must tell people what is going on in the study, what the risks are of that study, and how their data is going to be used. And we must get consent for them to participate in the study. We also have to tell them about any harm that's in that study and protect them from said harm as best as possible. We also need to let them know that their participation is voluntary, and at any point they can leave the study. We also need to describe how their data is going to be treated, what the anonymity and confidentiality is going to be like. Aside from the treatment of human subjects, we also have ethics in the data collection, analysis, and reporting parts of our research. This ensures that the collected data and the analysis of said data is sound and trustworthy. This means we need to be honest in reporting accurate data and disseminate this data in a professional manner, and should be communicated carefully, clearly, and accurately to both our colleagues and to the public. This is important because scientific progress rests on the trustworthiness of previous findings. We are always building on what people have done before us, and people are going to be building on what we do as researchers. And if we make errors, if we fabricate, falsify, or plagiarize, then that's going to affect everybody else who builds upon our research. Errors like this can have long-running consequences, causing not just us harm, the people who did the fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism, but everybody who follows after us will have to live with our mistakes as well. So this includes, again, fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. Fabrication is making up data, falsification is changing our data or manipulating our data, and plagiarism is copying the work of others. These sorts of consequences can be far-reaching. It can damage your career, but also the careers of other people who have worked with you. It's really not a good thing. And so we have certain steps we can take to help solve or prevent these sorts of issues of fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. The first is peer review. Peer review is something that we do in the social sciences where we submit our work to a journal. That journal gives it to reviewers. Those reviewers review the work and check it for mistakes and any sort of issues that might be there. They also like to check the data, make sure the data is good and clear, and then if it's good enough, we can then publish it. We also want people to publish their data. So not just the results of your research, but also the underlying data so that other people can check it for errors, fabrications, etc. So in general, we want to make sure that we are collecting our data in an honest, trustworthy fashion. When we're dealing with other people, we are honest with them. We get informed consent from any participants that are engaging in our study, all those sorts of things. Alright, thank you for watching this lecture video, and I'll talk to you next time.